So it's recently come to my attention that Pizza Hut in the UK has rebranded themselves to Pasta Hut. You know, signs, logos, whole nine yards, in an effort to try to change their image and become, like a healthier franchise. Is it just me, or do people not learn from history? Like, remember when Coke went and called themselves New Coke and they rebranded the whole nine yards and it absolutely failed? Yeah. Remember when ditzy pop singer Jessica Simpson became ditzy country singer Jessica Simpson? Yeah. Fail. Remember when Cookie Monster couldn't eat cookies anymore? I mean, they wrote an entire song after it. C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. Fail. So, I mean, I don't understand. I mean, think of it. Think of when the Tampa Ray Devil Rays changed their name to the Tampa Bay Rays. I mean, how did that work out for them? What? Hold on. They're in the World Series? Well, who cares about baseball? Welcome to episode number 79 of the Langille Show. My name is Brian Langille, and you know what? I'm not going to get on a soapbox here and rant all about Pizza Hut and Pasta Hut and what they're going to do with themselves. I mean, it's only in the UK right now. They haven't even made announcements for North America. I'm just hoping you don't. And even if you do, I guess it really doesn't affect me because there's no Pizza Hut here on the island. They packed up and left a couple of years ago. So I guess you guys can do what you want. It's just, if you were asking me, I don't think that pasta is all that marketable versus pizza. When you get together to watch a sporting event, you don't call the Olive Garden and see what their specials are on pasta. You normally call a pizza place and see what their specials are on pizza. Just a thought. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to be talking about pizza and pasta because that's not really the topic of this episode. This episode is going to deal with more like fish and chips. And I bet you're wondering what the tie-in is. Well, just sit back, relax, I'm about to tell you. People seem to get a kick out of the story where I went to Burger King with my dad and did the whole thing about, I'm not Herb, yada, yada, yada. So I figured I'd share another dining experience with my parents here on the Langille Show. Now, when I was 3, 4, 5 years old, I made a decision that I didn't like seafood. I basically made a rule later in life, if it swims, I don't do it. And it, works out pretty well for me. Now, that aside, I eat fish and chips once a year just to say I did, because when I was younger, like in my teens, my parents would take us to Lunenburg, Nova Scotia, which is like a South Shore fishing community bit, and we'd always have fish and chips once a year. So in that honor and tradition, despite the fact I don't go to Lunenburg anymore, I have fish and chips once a year just to honor that childhood memory bit. This is another childhood memory, but not quite the same. I went out Christmas shopping with my parents, and my brother and sister actually stayed with my grandparents. So it was kind of a moment out with just my mom, my dad, and myself. So it was kind of cool. And my dad took me to a place called Wilman's Fish and Chips in Halifax, Nova Scotia. He took me there because he went there as a child, and he thought that he wanted to share an experience with me. I'm all for that. I do things like that with Owen now, so I understand where it is coming from. But I'm just hoping mine aren't as much as a failure as this, because it didn't work out that well. Yeah, so we went to Wilman's Fish and Chips, and my dad was like, okay, Brian, we're going to get you fish and chips. And I'm like, I don't want fish and chips. They're like, well, we'll get you fish and chips. I'm like, I don't want fish and chips. I'll have a hamburger, I'll have chicken nuggets, I'll have anything. I'm just not having fish and chips. So to avoid making a scene, my parents were like, okay, he doesn't have to have fish and chips. Brian, what do you want? I said, I'll have chicken nuggets and fries. So my parents were like, yeah, okay, fine. So they placed the order, 2 orders of fish and chips for like my parents, and an order of chicken nuggets and fries for me. So the order comes, that's fine. We go sit down at the table, and things are cool, and my parents are, eating their fish, and things are great. And I take my first bite of my chicken nugget, and I'm like, something's wrong here. So I'm like, Mom, there's something wrong with my chicken. And she's like, no, Brian, your chicken's fine. Just eat your chicken. Come on, we got to get going. We're in a rush, so just have your supper, and we're going home. I'm like, Mom, there's something wrong with this chicken. And she's like, Brian, I assure you, it's fine. We told you we weren't getting you fish. It's fine. Just eat your chicken. So I sat there and I, ate my fries because I wasn't touching these chicken nuggets. And she's like, Brian, can you hurry up? Can you eat your chicken? We have to go. Like, Mom, I'm not eating the chicken. There's something wrong with it. They're like, Brian, eat the chicken. I said, it's rubbery. There's something wrong. I'm not eating this. and they just thought I was throwing a fit, right, for whatever reason, because apparently, you know, young kids do that. So this goes back and forth for a few minutes and everything, and eventually my parents just finally had enough. They're like, Brian, eat your chicken. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I don't like it. There's something wrong. It's rubbery. It's not good. I'll eat the fries. I'm not eating the chicken. And just as I'm saying this woman walks into the restaurant, past our table, and up to the counter. And she goes, excuse me, there's something wrong with my order. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, me too. So I perk up to listen to this. So the guy comes over and he goes, what seems to be the problem? She goes, I ordered mushrooms and I got chicken nuggets. And I turned around and looked at my parents and I could just see their face. They're just kind of like, and I'm like, yeah. So I, in a moment where I actually, you know, wasn't shy or anything else, picked up my mushrooms, walked up to the counter, and I said, I believe I have your mushrooms. And she's like, oh, do you like them? And I'm like, no. So the guy said he'd swap the mushrooms and the nuggets, and he cooked all new ones, and I got nuggets, and she got her mushrooms, and things were cool. And I've never forgotten this, because I tried to explain to my parents, first off politely, that there was something wrong. When that didn't work, I just decided, you know, I'm going to do it in protest. I'm not going to eat these. And it turns out I was right. So when you go out for dinner with your kids and they decide to throw a fit and say, you know, they're not eating this, they're not eating that, as a parent, I know what it's like. You know, I mean, you got to try to convince them to try new things and eat new things and yada, yada, yada. But if they're extremely, you know, pressing on this and they're saying there's something wrong, make sure you check it, because who knows, instead of chicken nuggets, it could be mushrooms. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. Thank you for watching episode number 79 of The Langille Show. My name's Brian Langille. You can check out The Langille Show at thelangilleshow.com and youtube.com. You can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Langille. And this Friday, live on Blog TV at 8 p.m. Eastern, you can see me do The Langille Show live on Blog TV. I've got nothing else to really say at this point. I've covered Pizza Hut, I've covered Pasta Hut, I've covered mushrooms, I've covered chicken. Everything is covered up nicely, so I'm going to go. Take care.